In 2015, NSI conducted a virtual think tank subject matter expert elicitation to examine potential drivers of conflict and convergence in Eurasia over the next 5 to 25 years. NSI's virtual think tank, also known as ViTTa, is a virtual network of trusted subject matter experts, unconventional thinkers, bright minds, foreign voices, and varied perspectives. ViTTa experts enable NSI to craft timely and cost-effective analyses of critical and complex problems. For this effort, two key issues emerged from the ViTTa elicitation: deterrence and containment. When thinking about deterrence from a social science perspective, it's important to consider what behaviors the U.S. is interested in deterring. Experts felt very clearly that the U.S. wants to deter Russian aggression, but they also believe the U.S. has a preference for containment. To understand what the U.S. wants to deter and why, it is important to look at the strategic interests of both Russia and the United States. Experts widely agreed that Russian strategic interests focus around international prestige and recognition, an acknowledged sphere of influence in the near abroad, and economic, military, cultural, and political power and vitality. On the other hand, United States strategic interests in the region center around stability in Europe and Eurasia. So, if stability is in fact the main interest for the U.S. in the region, experts question whether containment is actually the appropriate strategy for engagement. Basically, if the United States' main interest in the region is stability better obtained by maintaining the status quo through containment and, therefore, an unsatisfied Russia, or through engagement and, therefore, a more satisfied Russia? When thinking about strategies of a containment pathway versus a cooperation pathway, and taking them to their extreme ends over time, experts see opportunities and risks for each strategy. With respect to the containment pathway and an unsatisfied Russia, experts believe that it's possible to contain Russia and maintain an international status quo in the short run. However, in the long run, they felt that containment undermines the political, economic, and social stability of Russia, which not only increases the danger of state failure, but enhances incentives for Russian aggression and cooperation with undesirable partners. On the other hand, the experts acknowledge that a cooperation pathway also comes with risks. The upside of this pathway is the ability to collaborate on issues like counterterrorism, stability in the Middle East, and balancing a rising China. However, there is a risk that any secession made by the West will be seen by Russia and our other adversaries as weakness. Furthermore, Russia may become overconfident. Given all of this, the question then becomes, what does the West fear more? A failed Russian state or a stable, powerful Russia? The experts encourage further research into two issues that pose the greatest amount of risk in terms of unintended negative consequences: sanctions and NATO expansion. In terms of sanctions, it is important to remember that Putin's rise to power has been on the back of strong economic growth. So economic sanctions that further strengthen Russia's pre-existing economic challenges undermine Putin's main source of legitimacy, the economy. Therefore, this could push him towards nationalism and aggression with very little interest in cooperation. In terms of NATO expansion, the danger of NATO expansion is that power is increasingly about generating political will, and less about shared capacity. Experts pointed out that the expansion has broadened NATO's membership, but in doing so it has weakened the organization's collective political will. Putin is very aware of this, and it fuels Russian provocation. Additionally, it is clear that Russia views NATO as an existential threat. For more information on this ViTTa, including the full report, and for information on other ViTTa efforts, please visit nsiteam.com.